This is Dave Torromeo for Latin Business Today and the Sports Business Institute. And today it's my very deep pleasure to invite and to speak to a young man who is with the PGA and Charles Dillahunt. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be here, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So most of the people whom I would do this with, I've met previously, so I know a little bit more about them. So yeah. You'll have to indulge me and please tell me about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so I've been with the PGA of America since January of 2019. So coming up on 2 years here, originally from Indiana. Had a dream to work in the sports industry. Nice. Went to a liberal arts college. I took a roundabout way to get here, right? Went to a liberal arts college, studied philosophy, had a business minor. But the whole time I knew, I want to be in sports one day. So I was doing internships on the side, some of the programs we'll talk about today, and ended up with the PGA of America. Started out as our inclusion and diversity engagement coordinator, really tasked with telling stories across the industry of all the different diverse talent doing great things in the golf industry, from PGA members to PGA of America HQ employees. And now I'm the strategic adjunct to our CEO and our chief people officer, Seth Wall and Sandy Cross, really tasked with helping to embed inclusion past just storytelling now across the whole association. And then some strategic projects, special projects as assigned with Seth, like revitalization of golf courses. So that's a little bit about me. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it was very good. I appreciate that. And it's interesting because I graduated, one of my degrees is in philosophy. So I don't know why. I think I just started taking so many classes that I was like, oh man, I can make a degree out of this thing. So we're talking many years ago. So tell us, for the layman, and obviously everybody knows the PGA of America, and kind of obviously it's golf, and you have members all over the country, and we have good friends of ours. I'm involved with a radio show, Brian Kroll, who was the PGA Tour professional, and I was at Glen Arbor, and now Robin Britz, who's there. Brian has moved on to another golf course. So tell us about how the PGA how it functions.
Yeah, so we're a professional trade organization comprised of nearly 29,000 PGA of America professionals, whose main goal is to grow the game of golf, right? It's on the local grassroots level. They are owning and operating their own clubs. Some are merchandisers, some are club owners or golf course owners themselves. And our job from a headquarters perspective is to put those members, provide education and training and the tools they need to really grow the game across the country. We want them to be the #1 coaches in America, and we believe that they are. So anything that we can do from a headquarters perspective to help our members succeed in the game of golf and growing that game in all communities, we want to mirror America. That's our saying. We'd like to mirror America with the buildup from the supply chain to the game to the workforce at golf. And then eventually we hope to mirror the world. So anything we can do from a headquarters perspective to help those 29,000 PGA members across the country grow the game by teaching and playing it, that's what we're here to do. So.
Right. And of course, I imagine you have a role in putting on the PGA major event.
Yes. So we also have, that's pretty important. I should mention that. We have 4 major championships. Yep. One for the senior tour, the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. Another one on the PGA Tour, which is obviously the PGA Championship, a little over 100 years old. We have one on the LPGA Tour, which is our KPMG Women's PGA Championship. We have some collegiate events, the PGA Works Collegiate Championship, which is our major in collegiate golf as well. So, and then also the world-renowned Ryder Cup is our 4th major event, and that'll be in Kohler, Wisconsin next year. So
nice.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit, and before I get into the job match conversation, but it seems like a lot of people might have a perception that golf is and it is really. I mean, kind of. It used to be called the rich man's game. I don't know if they still say that, but I mean, at the end of the day, it can be a very costly sport in terms of golf clubs, greens fees. I mean, if you're starting to get good at golf, and I realized this a couple of years ago. You really have to play it a lot. If that's your goal. I mean, it's a great game, I think, for several purposes, for people who are very serious, but also for people who just want to go out and have fun, And then I became the person who's like, listen, I'm never going to become that good at it. If I'm going to play, I'm just going to have fun and, and try to have a good time. So, but in terms of the money aspect of it, what's the feeling there with the association in terms of how do we get inclusivity for people who might not be able to afford to play such a game?
That's a good question. And I'm happy to report the whole industry from OEM manufacturers to non-endemic golf companies to us, the PGA of America, the PGA Tour, we're all working together now to lower those costs. And then also come up with some other creative ideas like why do you have to go play 9 or 18? Why can't you pay for play? If I want to go out and play 3 to 4 holes, I just pay for those 4 holes and go play, right? So there's going to be a lot of innovative ways I think you'll see coming out in the next year to 5 years on how we're trying to get people involved in the game. From a cost perspective, I will say, golf can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be expensive. It's totally up to you. There are courses where I'm from in Indiana, you could go play 18 for $30. And while $30 will mean something different to everyone, right? It's not as expensive as, say, now I'm living in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And the problem here isn't necessarily cost, it's public access, right? It's a place full of clubs. And that's one of the projects I'm working on with Seth right now. It's called A Place to Play, and we're revitalizing the Palm Beach Country Club, or West Palm Beach Country Club. It'll now be the West Palm Golf Park. And the goal is making that a place to play for everyone. So it's affordable. There'll be world-class PGA professionals there. The South Florida PGA of America section will be there. Right. And we want to have great junior programs there. So it can serve as a replica of what you could do nationwide at other courses as well. So we are working on the price aspect, but I can't deny it is an expensive game. But I will say those prices should and will start coming down, especially as we look to diversify, right? Because it's a major part. We'd be lying if we said that wasn't a hindrance for people getting into the game. So I do think there are innovative ways being created and facilitated right now with industry stakeholders to lower those prices a bit for everyone.
Yeah, and to be fair, somebody could say, look, it's expensive to go to a Major League Baseball game, or it's expensive to play hockey with ice time. So it's not just golf, and I'm not trying to, but the conversation is what you guys do, obviously, and it's exciting to me personally because I have two college-age kids who are kind of getting into the game a little bit and very interested in playing more. And I tell them, and I believe this, that it really is a great business tool. It's a great networking tool. How many deals people make on golf courses? Or just even if you're a caddy, some of these people tell great stories about, what they've done, or who people they've met, and kind of the inside tips maybe. So there is a great passion for the game, and especially where we are. I live in New Canaan, Connecticut, and the here in between Fairfield County, Westchester County, New York, there are so many great golf courses, unbelievable. Wingfoot, and it's right here within our reach. But there's also some nice public courses. So I appreciate your answer to that.
Can I add one more thing? You had mentioned something about playing the game, and it takes a while to get good. That's life, right? And one of the things I always like to tell people about golf is it's a game of life. You learn a lot about yourself out there on the course. If something goes bad, how are you going to react? You going to get mad and give up, or are you going to pick your head up and keep going with it, right? Forget about it. Next shot, you got another shot. So it is a game of life. It's a game that if you invest in it, it gives back to you, from friendships to finding that PGA coach in your area. And then, when I had my first PGA coach at the Golf Club of Indiana, Lance Scholl was his name. I still keep in contact with him to this day. So you create relationships, and I'll never forget, most PGA coaches have a beginner's program that is less expensive, and you can come in, and it's not going to be, you're surrounded with all these expert golfers. It's going to be you one-on-one, or you and your family. Maybe you're taking a lesson with this coach, and you come in, they take care of you. Normally, when I would go, it was 4 lessons for a discounted or significantly discounted rate. And you'd go in there, it's supposed to be an hour, but you end up staying 2 to 3 hours because, that feeling of finally getting the ball up in the air and seeing the true flight is just addicting. And, the friends you'll make on the course, and it's a game of business as well. So much business is done on the golf course. So I would highly recommend playing and sticking with it. And like you said, just have fun with it. You're not getting paid to play. Just have fun. So
Exactly. I think when you come to the conclusion that, you know what, I just lost the ball in the woods, so be it. There are other balls in the bag, right?
yeah.
Nobody's counting how many balls you lose. Although I've had my fair share of that, but I appreciate your honesty with that, and I agree with you. And it's, that I always say, golf is a game where you're going to say two things to yourself on a golf course. At least this is for me. One is, I can't believe how bad I am, and then you'll hit one shot, and you go, man, or if I could just bottle that, if I could just, that's what keeps you coming back. It's like, but I did hit that really good drive and that chip or whatever it is. So it really is. I think if you have fun with it and you don't take it too seriously, unless you're DeChambeau or one of these guys, they have to take it seriously because, they're in it for the money and big money.
Right.
So let's talk about the JobMatch program. This is really exciting and interesting. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we've been working on PGA JobMatch for a while. It was supposed to kick off at our PGA Championship earlier this year at TPC Harding Park. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to push it back until next year. So PGA JobMatch is an opportunity for us to invite local and diverse talent out to get some pretty unique behind the scenes golf industry experience. So not only do we want the sports marketing majors and undergrads, we also want graduates to consider this program. There's two opportunities, namely, and they are merchandising operations assistants and then tournament operations assistants. And in both of those positions, you'll have the opportunity to work with PGA of America staff and learn the ins and outs of the golf business.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good opportunities because you're on the grounds of a major championship, right? And it just provides a look behind the curtain you normally wouldn't get through any other sort of temporary work that you could get, I think. So,
yeah. So this is a national program, Charles?
It is a national program. Anyone can apply, but we do have an emphasis on local and diverse. Whenever we go into a championship city, we want to have a presence before we arrive on site, while we're on site, and continue that presence down the road. So we really look to get the local community involved in these opportunities. That said, it isn't limited to those who are local. In the past, we had provided housing. This year, we will not be providing housing. So you need to have a place to stay for I think the merchandising operations assistants will be a 4 to 5 week program. The tournament operations assistants will be 2 to 4 months. So.
Okay. And what kind of qualifications do you look for those type of people? Is it college grad? Is it student, intern, or more?
We don't like to put too many barriers in the way of someone being able to do this.
Okay.
The most important thing is we want someone who's going to be very interested in working in the sports industry and hopefully very interested in working in golf or learning about all the things that golf can offer. Not only are you going to be doing a really cool job, you're also going to be able to interact and network with those around you and talk about the industry. What's it like to work in there? And you're face to face. It's not through Zoom, right? So you really want someone who's driven and really has a passion for the sports industry, I'd say. We normally don't go any lower than rising juniors in college, but we're not going to say a graduate from an undergrad school can't do this position, right? So that would be the number one qualification. Who has that passion to work in the sports industry? And then the other thing I would say is, who's going to show up on time? You want someone who's responsible, dedicated, going to give their all, right? And really take advantage of the opportunity to network with those around you. So.
Yeah, you mentioned passion. I think it's so true about, everybody, it seems, wants to work in sports, right? Because they love sports and they think it's, well, if I love sports and I love the Patriots or whatever it is, or golf, it wouldn't be great. But at the end of the day, it is a business. And when, you have to understand that sometimes it's long hours and sometimes it's really not a lot of pay. I've had the ability to work in all different areas of the sports industry. So I think it's awesome. I think, I think golf is an interesting, kind of area because I think golf, and tell me if I'm wrong, it kind of saw a dip, and maybe this is why you guys are doing some of the things you're doing, a dip in the participation over the years. Is that, where's that?
Yeah, so if you go back to the early 2000s, you had this Tiger boom. Everyone was playing golf because Tiger was so popular, right? From there, we built all these golf courses. They've gone under. We thought it would sustain itself. Not me. I was like 6 or 7 at the time, but the golf industry thought it would sustain itself. It did not. So now we're really making a concerted effort to make sure this boom, rounds are up 20% over last year. So really want to make sure that this boom is consistent, and we're having those internal discussions of how do we keep this new consumer who's come in involved and engaged. And we really think programs like PGA JobMatch will do that for us. So
Yeah, that's great. I think in terms of like most sports, it's about education, right? It's about education. It's about giving back, and I'm sure there's a lot of charitable things that you guys do. Can you talk about some of those things a little bit?
yeah, so we have a charitable foundation. Do you mean specifically around jobs and workforce diversification,
No,
or?
anything in particular in terms of your foundation or things that are happening in that area for charitable related ways, the foundation or.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just stick with the theme workforce diversification.
Yeah.
PGA Works is a workforce diversification platform under our 501c3 foundation, PGA Reach.
Okay.
And PGA Works looks to fulfill the talent pipeline of the golf industry with diverse and qualified talent. And we do that through 5 programs. One is, I mentioned this earlier, the PGA Works Collegiate Championship and Career Expo, which work in concert with each other.
Right.
It started as the National HBCU tournament, grew to also include all minority serving institutions and diverse individual competitors from all institutions nationwide. We also have some other career exploration events that happen through PGA Works. We have scholarships for diverse individuals looking to become PGA members. And then we also have a 1-year paid PGA Works fellowship, which really looks to get diverse talent, put them into foundation operations in a PGA of America section across the nation. I think we currently have 13 PGA Works fellows across 13 sections. And those 5 programs have done wonders and have, I think the fellowship actually boasted 100% job placement until, unfortunately, COVID hit. But it's really making an impact and introducing the game in diverse populations. So, and we only look to grow from here. So,
yeah, no, that's awesome. So you're in Florida, and that's where the headquarters are. But you mentioned sections. Tell me first of all, how many people are based, and let's take COVID out of it. On a normal year, how many people are based where you are? Is it hundreds? Is it I have no idea how big your organization is.
So from a headquarters perspective, I believe we're close or a little bit over 300 employees. I want to say we're around the 280, 300 employee mark, but everyone isn't stationed in Florida. We're building a brand new state-of-the-art headquarters in Frisco, Texas. I'll actually be moving there in 2022.
Oh, wow.
So we have a small beachhead. I think they call it a beachhead contingent there right now. That's living in Frisco, Texas. We still have folks that are here in our Palm Beach Gardens location, then also a small contingent of folks in New York City as well. So across those 3, the 300 is spread out across those 3 locations. So
thank you. So I know we have a good relationship, and my day job, I run a master's degree program in sport business management at Manhattanville College. And one of our first alum is a very senior executive with the Metropolitan PGA. And that's, I guess, would that be considered a section, or is that just,
yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's one section. So the sections are based strategically around the country, obviously.
Correct. And they divide the whole United States. Each section can differ in some of its programs and things that they facilitate on the grassroots level. We really try to help them be able to do that growing up the game, right, that I mentioned at the beginning of the call. So one of the things I didn't mention about PGA JobMatch is that interviews will be conducted virtually this year. So there's no need for anyone to think, I applied for PGA JobMatch, I'm going to have to fly out for an interview. The qualified candidates that are selected will be interviewed via probably Google Hangouts or Zoom, one of the 2 platforms. And then from there, you would work with your hiring manager to learn when you need to be on site, when you need to get there, how you're going to get there, et cetera, et cetera.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. And lastly, I think, why don't we just sum up by first of all, thanking you for your time, Charles, and so you're off to Frisco, Texas next year. That's going to be interesting. A little different than Florida, right?
A little different. And what's funny is when I was graduating from college, there were 3 areas I was interested in. One of them was Texas, one of them was Florida, one of them was South Carolina.
Okay.
I went to South Carolina for the PGA Championship in 2021 at Kiowa Island, South Carolina. Lived in Florida now, obviously going to be moving over to Texas. So it's funny how things work out. And dreams do come true. And that's, there's a lot of people that reach out to us about working in the golf industry. And I think if you have that passion, people are looking for diverse talent now, right? So keep looking, reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, if you see someone that you want to connect with in the golf industry, we want to grow. We know that to innovate, we need diverse talent to interact with us. So I would, implore you reach out to folks you see. If you're interested in what they're doing, ask them a question. Would you be willing to chat for 15 minutes on Zoom? We're in a virtual world now, so take advantage of it for sure.
Well, that's really great advice and a great offer by you, Charles. And I think, that's pretty much all I have. And I just want to thank you again for your time and your honest answers. And obviously I hope our paths cross in person someday, because I still like to give people a nice fist pump or handshake or hug. So, but thanks again, and wish you all the best.
Totally appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me. Thanks for that.